Go!
Ladies and gentlemen, after a little bit of a hiatus, I gotta say, it's good to be back. My name's Vince Sapsford. Welcome to SIMseniors Season 10. Once again, we're back on the track. Unfortunately, we didn't get to catch Imola last time out last week. I was a little bit under the weather. I can only apologise for that. But we're back, and it's good to be here. It's good to be back as... I love doing these Tuesdays. I really do. And I can see everyone jumping in the chat as well. It's good to see everyone, some friendly faces, some familiars. And we've got a pretty exciting round. I mean, of course, we need to talk about Imola. We need to have a little bit of a catch-up. And I think we're going to do just that while the drivers finish up free practice and we talk about heading into qualifying. So, Leon Blom, after losing to Guillermo out in Kyalami, he managed to get his form back out for Imola. And from what I can see, he did do a pretty good job. So, managing to really push the boat out, find that form once again, and claim victory by a substantial margin at that. Going on to the silver side as well, we have Chris Wilson, who continues to be the dominant player in that silver championship. No doubt why he's currently standing as one of the drivers surging up the order, and suddenly is becoming a driver worth keeping your eye on as things get very heated, very contested on that side of the track. And then in third, and certainly not least for the bronze side of things, last time out it was Barry Finley who took top honours and had a chance to really cook and really push to try and assert that P2. Now, this is a little bit different when it comes to the bronze, because there's 41 points between Diekman and Finley. And Finley has a lot of penalty points as well. I believe it's 23 at the time of writing. So he's lost a lot of points out of penalties. Hopefully, if he can keep this form up and he can start to clean up the driving side of things and start making sure that he's able to keep out of the way of all stewarding, then he should have a much easier time. Who knows? We could go into the final round with a title fight for bronze class as well. Currently, it's not quite looking like that, but we could see that nonetheless. And that is something that I really do hope for, because we are coming to that closing stage of the season, ladies and gentlemen. We are coming up soon to the final races, and this is make or break for a lot of drivers. We're here at Monza tonight, but we head back to the UK for Donington Park, followed by Watkins Glen the following week, back to the United States, and then return home to Silverstone to really round it all off and really start to see in these last 3 rounds who is going to be our champion for all of this. In gold, it's a hot fight between Lindblom and Guillemar. In silver, you've got Visharek, Wilson, Mitchell, all really vying for those positions. And then on the bronze side, while Diekman seems to be out in front at this time, it's not going to last forever. And I think he's going to have some trouble on his hands, because there's certainly a lot of drivers who are hungry to take that championship spot, and some drivers who certainly will be giving it their absolute best. But it's looking bright and beautiful here at the Temple of Speed. It's Monza, highest speeds on the calendar by a significant margin, and we're going to be seeing exactly what these drivers are made of, how much they're going to be pushing, especially when you look at the likes of Ascari, Parabolica, got Curva Grande, Lesmo 1, Lesmo 2, and a lot of high stakes, high speed action about to grace your screens. Let's go trackside. Qualifying has officially begun, and it's none other than Chris Wilson, the car to beat coming out of the last rounds. Let's see what he can do. Of course, winning the last 2 silver class races on the trot. And let's see how he's able to handle it. The big thing right now, more than anything, is he just wants to get consistent points down. He's got 2 wins on the trot. I don't think he wants to go too aggressive here. And I think Monza is a track that pays back that patience. Particularly when you come out of Parabolica, you've got to be careful of those track limits. Even just the slightest overextension, and the stewards look at it with eye, because getting an advantage out of Parabolica will have massive effects on your qualifying lap. So, Wilson, we're on board, and let's see what he's got to show us here. So, making his way quickly down that start-finish straight. See, jumping straight on the brakes, all the way down to first gears. That's Variante. And then Curva Grande now making his way through. Now, you can take a lot of speed. It's a little bit deceptive just how much speed you can take through this curve. And you're practically fully pinned. Your downforce is going to do a lot of the heavy lifting here to make sure that you're still planted on that circuit. But here we go. Next chicane here before the Lesmos. As they down to first gear. So potentially going a little bit sharper on the throttle side of things, but got to be careful still. Lesmo 1, Lesmo 2, don't be afraid to use a little bit of that runoff, just extend your line through. Keep the speed up, even touching on a little bit grass, so a little bit further out there for Wilson. Makes his way under the bridge and into Ascari, so one of the highest commitment parts of the track now. So see down into second gear. Careful of those sausage curbs on the inside. Those can be absolutely lethal and can almost physically throw your car into the air if you attack them wrong. So far, keeping it on the straight and narrow. Let's see what the racers have to offer. So Wilson coming up to the line now. I believe he's just behind Thurton on the track anyway, but he's going to be one of the first to get an official time on the boards here. So Wilson up to the line. What's the benchmark going to be? It's a 48.6 from the Aston Martin, who is going to challenge Arscombe with a 49.9. We'll see many other cars making their way down. Here's Visharek, one of the other cars to beat, one of the other cars to watch as he comes up in that Ferrari. It's a 48.8, just not quite matching Wilson yet at this point in time, but he's certainly going to have his work cut out for him throughout the rest of this session. Many more cars now making their way through. Rich, Nisbet, Bodin, Smith. Here's Stuart Holmes coming to the line, but it's an invalid, so no run here. He's going to have to get it on the next go. Barry Finley was the star coming out, not from the reasonably priced car, but certainly the star to watch in the bronze class, following a fine performance out at Imola. Teteru, 52.6. Number 44 car, Frank Tennant, that's a 51. More cars now making their way. The first invalidations now under the belt. It's time to see what everyone can do on full push, full temperature. and at optimal conditions. You can see 26 degrees with a 34 surface temp. It's going to be nice and sticky for those compounds, although thermals will be a concern. I think Gabbett's livery is doing a good job of representing the potential fight to come in terms of within your own car. 50.2 from Gabbett though, that's still going to be a solid result. That's 6th in class so far. Here comes Dirtson in the bronze. What's he going to be able to bring? It's an invalid lap last time out, 49.6 though. That could have been a solid showing. Wilson coming up to another go. Remember, only first 10 minutes for the bronze and the silver before they have to come in and the gold class cars will be ready to shine. So it looks like this was a bit of a primer, so let's switch gears. Paul Murray needs to get a time on the boards and do so fast. He does. 49.1. He's just going to pip out Alex North for the 4th spot. The Finley really showing his stuff here and punching right within the group that is going to be the silvers. Bowden comes across the line 3rd in class, closely followed by Stuart Holmes as they both come across the line to split the grey numbers apart. Barry Finley across the line, but no improvement from the Mustang pilot. Here comes Teteru once again, closely tailed by the number 44 of Frank Tennant. Big improvements hopefully on the cards. They're going to need it to launch up, and it's only a minor one for Teteru here. Lieutenant into the pits, meaning there won't be a chance for him to go get himself another chance. Unless he's very swift with it. Going to be one installation lap and then basically one more go. Here's Disbuquez. He's currently 6th. 14th overall. Hopefully he's going to be able to make a little bit of improvement. But the Deltas aren't looking so hot right now. Wonder if he's clinching or clutching at straws, so to speak. Here comes another Aston. Here is Arscombe. He could be on the docket for a big improvement here. Just needs to connect it up. 48 would slingshot him to the front, and he just about gets it. It's going to be P3. So 2 Astons on the podium spots coming out of quali, but time is of the essence here. Visharek is just going to dethrone him. 48.6. And Wilson with a 48.3 last time out. So pushing even harder. That Sector 1 is on fire. Soon we will have our second set of cars adorning the racetrack. So that means time is running out for everyone with a red or silver number to make an impact. Morrison makes his way up into P10. That's going to be 7th in class. As a couple of bronze cars have made and stamped their mark. Here comes Iro coming up to the line now. Still not got a time, but finally has something on the boards to show for it. He's coming in P8. As that is a 49.545. So, last cars remaining further down, but we can see everyone in the golds are going to soon be considering lining up and getting out there. Homer, yet to set a time. Only driver in this respective group with the exception of Bull and Olsen, who don't always set times at the start. They sometimes go straight to starting from the back. So Homer comes up to the line. Hopefully he's going to have something to bring forward here because he's severely running out of time here. Hudson comes across the line, no improvement. Homer is going to bring a time, and it's a 49.2. So that's going to be enough to get him in P7. And with that, the final 30 seconds are going to be soon here. You can see everyone is lining up here. This is going to be the gold class runners getting ready to go. Everyone's itching for a fight, itching for a scrap, and they want to be out there in the prime air, making sure they've got the best chance and the most time to get lap times on. Trickett to the line. minor improvement, but not enough for a position. He needs just another half-tenth in order to be able to pip North and to potentially push harder. But it's still P2 in class. Very respectable job. We can see the 10 minutes has elapsed. So at this point, everyone who is currently out on track is going to be either finishing their laps or coming into the pits, because it's the gold class time. You can see a tsunami of racers pouring out of that pit lane. There's nothing quite like it. Time to see what the rest of the field can do, but we've also got a little bit of cleanup to do. Here comes Gabbett up to the line, one of the last from the previous set. Any improvements here? There is one to 0.935. You can see Neil Thurston, as well as a couple of other cars. Any improvements coming in from the rest of the field? Here's Wilson. He's teetering on that line, but I don't know if he's going to be able to bring it home. The deltas do not lie. Homer comes up to the line and gets himself a nice and tidy P5, or 4th in class. No improvement here from Wilson. And then Alex North, one of the last to come through before the gold class racers make their debut. Number 48 to beat. 48.8. He's going to get himself into 4th, and he's just going to pip Homer by less than half a tenth. Great job there from North. But now it's time to see who is going to bring their A game. Lenatus, in typical fashion, he's going to be the first out. He's going to be the first of the gold class drivers to show his stuff. And it's like the session has begun anew. We have quite the set of drivers. 41 drivers adorn our racetrack here today, folks. So there's going to be plenty of excitement. I have no doubt about that. Lenatus through the first chicane, powering out quite nicely. So keeping the gears relatively low, able to really lean on the power. Use those dips in the aero to full advantage as you go through Curva Grande and into the second chicane. Down all the way to second gear. Stays in second gear rather than trying to go high in the rev range. Use some of that lower end torque of these engines. They're not the most torquey. Remember, they are designed for peak horsepower, really smashing the rev limiter. But you do still have a bit more stability if you keep those revs slightly lower. Through the Lesmos, very nice. Stays in third gear. And again, powers out. Consistent, smooth running. Slow in, fast out, smooth is fast. Name of the game here for Lenatus, coming under the bridge into Ascari. Again, high commitment, bit of a bump on the curbs. Quick recovery, though, from the Audi. Looking a little bit shaky as he goes over a bit more curbing than he maybe would like. He's otherwise still in control. Charging his way down 6th gear. That's going to be almost 260 kilometers per hour before heading into Parabolica. Choose your line very carefully, just staying within the legal limit. Still keeping those two wheels inside those white lines at all times. What's it going to be for Lenatus? It's going to be a 48.3. Immediately, the gold class drivers starting to show why they're a cut above the rest. GMR has only got a 52. Very curious indeed. So maybe just an initial flub of a run. But it's Damian Reed who really becomes the showstopper. 47.9. Briefly holds that pole position before Hermé quickly swings back. Here comes Larson to the line. No lap here. Ben Neergaard in the Mercedes is a 47.5 as Dave Marsh goes into third place. More and more cars now making their way through. Here's McNair up to the line, and it's a P10, 48.4, but I think he knows full well there's more time on the table. Peyton next up to the line in the Mercedes as well, alongside Neergaard, and he's going to be getting himself into P7. So really solid stuff. Here comes Liam Blom, though. Of course, fine form and established top runner. 47.5 flat. No best sectors, but Just pure consistency, smooth driving. Let's see what the rest of the field has in response. Hermé teetering on that best timing, along with Holmberg. I think those two should be drivers to watch. Here we go. So, Holmberg, 0.6 of a second up, but so is Hermé. He's teetering on that half-second line. They're both going to be soon coming to the line. Who's going to be the one to come out on top? There's a new time from Björklund into P5. Many more times coming through. Guillemot back to fighting spirits. It's a .312 and a Hermé with a .162. He's going to push that envelope even harder in the NSX. Can anyone challenge this driver? There's going to be so many cars all going for those fastest times, and fireworks are flying. Marsh into P5. Neergaard stays in at P4, although does get an improvement on time. Lindblom going through the final sector is a couple of crucial tenths up, but he needs half a second. He's 5 flat. He needs to get at least 4 tenths if he wants to push past Hermé. And it doesn't quite look like it's happening yet. You see, he goes slightly narrow, and he tries to shorten that line. 3 tenths up, and it's just 300ths away. So close between these drivers. The gold class never messes around. See Damien Reed. They're continuing to impress. I think through sheer grit, if nothing else. Sheer grit and determination. Reed's had a bit of a tough season. Whether that's the Lexus or whether it's just not been his best, he's had a tough innings. He hasn't always been able to push the positions that I think his pace has allowed, but hopefully this is a little bit of a resurgence for him as we go through P9 for the Lexus driver, the number 979, showing that he has got that pace, and of course that early pole position, that is a sign of the driver that lies within. Here's Neergaard showing his stuff in the Sector 3. I think he's got some really good sort of medium to high speed cornering ability, and it's a .115, and that Sector 3 is something else. Massive work. Absolutely massive work coming in from the Mercedes AMG. Let's see if anyone can try and match that energy. Hermé, of course, going to be the one to watch. He's got pole position, a very close times between those top 3. They're all within a tenth of each other. Wolfslener coming up to the line soon. He's also looking like he could be standing to improve and get himself slap bang in that fight. The Wolfpack cars, of course, they all are going to be bringing their best. Not uncommon to see a mostly Mustang top 10 when it comes to the gold side, because as a team, they mean business. Here comes Wolfslener. Up to line, a .125. That is a single hundredth of a second behind Neergaard, and that's going to put him straight on front row. How are the other cars going to respond? Linatus needs about half a second to get himself in a competitive range, but it looks like he's running out of chances, running out of time. 60 seconds on the clock. It's going to be last attempt for the Audi, so he either needs to make it work now, or he's going to call it time, which he does. 47.5, that's the best we're going to see from the R8 driver. It's the Larsons and Cutler currently up on time, but there's still more to show. Guillemot has just crossed the line, and he's got himself into the 47 zeros, no less. .072. I think my eyes betray me sometimes with this timing board, because just when you think that you can't squeeze or extract any more time from these races, they go and pull another tenth out the bag. And you can never truly quantify it. But it's not over till the checkered flag falls. There's still time. There's still a chance. Larson, best of 12th place. Last 10 seconds. And then at that point, you are locked into your lap. Final laps only for the entire field, as the checkered flag has now fallen. Everyone who is still out on track just managing to creep past the line in time. But there's invalidations. So unfortunately, we won't see new runs from Wolfslener, Lindblom, Holmberg. Lindblom is only going to be down in P4? 5? Why is it skipped 4? I think there might be an issue here with the timing board here, folks, and I do apologise. So, oh, there we go. So, we lost Hermé very briefly. Not sure what happened there. But Guillemar's going to go off the side of the track. He's not going to be able to push his envelope even further like he was maybe hoping for. Say McNair down in P17 right now. And I know that the Nismo, this is not a strong track for the Nismo. Let's just put it and say it for what it is. This is not Nismo territory. Otherwise, a really solid car, but I think it's going to be an uphill battle to extract some good pace out of here, and I think he needs to make sure that he's ready for combat. Even so, that's going to be McNair dethroned by another position as Larson, Cutler both, they're going to push through. Serrano goes across into P14. Neergaard doesn't get an improvement in P2. And that could be curtains for the session. So Bourne is going to just pip Dave Marsh for 7th position. Eyes on McNair as the last car to do it. And he's back up into P17. He pushes past Cutler, but it's not quite there. It's not quite enough for him this time. And with that, that is going to do it for our qualifying session. So let's take your top 3 per class in a row. First off, it's going to be Guillemard. He's really found his form, and he continues to be a title threat to established champion Lindblom. He won out in Kyalami. He got a bit of humble pie after Imola, and now it's time for him to swing back. Monza is his, as Neergaard is in 2nd. Another strong titan of a competitor, and Wolfslener in 3rd. Lindblom only managed P5 this session, in part due to an invalidation, but goes to show how tight the margins are here in today's race. Moving on to the silvers, and it's going to be established talent Chris Wilson. He's got 2 wins on the trot, and he's hoping to make it a 3rd after tonight's qualifying. He's going to be solid and strong. A quarter of a second clear of next competitor Paul Murray in 2nd place. Vischerek completes our top 3, and then in a very interesting time set, Barry Finley. What a qualifying. Just refusing to be pushed down and adhere to the class norm. He's all the way up with the pole time for silver, and well established in 1st place by half a second exactly to Trickett and Thiersson respectively. Of course, we'll give you your full grid walk in just a moment when we actually go trackside, but this is last chance for everyone to dial in their setups and confirm their rig for their cars. So any last minute adjustments are going to be now. 2 minutes, you see, on the air jacks as everyone is dialing and finalizing everything for themselves. But while they're doing that, let's take your proper grid walk and really see who is going to be on top out of today. Let's take it from the top, folks, and of course, starting things off, it's going to be our top competitors. So, starting with it, Guillemard and Neergaard in 1st and 2nd place. Row 2, go to Wolfslener, and closely following. So they did show those signs of brilliance in the NSX in qualifying. It's 4th place for Oskari Hermé. 5th for Lindblom, so he's going to have a bit more work cut out for him if he wants to defend that lead. And then Holmberg alongside him in 6th place for the Mustangs. Chris Bourne is going to be in 7th, and then it's Dave Marsh in the NSX in P8. Completing your top 10, it's going to be Nicholas Björklund and Damien Reed in a very solid 10th place. So hopefully a good sign of some upward momentum, as Leonardus is going to start our next 10 in the Audi R8 alongside the Mercedes AMG of James Payton. Johan Larsson back to the Mustangs in the 848 car, as Pedro Serrano is in the 212 Midnight Purple BMW. Larsson in P15 with the number 230 Mustang, another Wolfpack entrant, and this row is going to belong to them with the 660 of Tommy Hellstrong alongside. Colin McNair P17 alongside Justin Cutler in the number 35 Mercedes, and then it's the number 74 of Adam Ostrachas. Before we start talking about the silver entrance, it's Chris Wilson in P20, and then just behind him it's Barry Finley, leader for bronze, and alongside him is Paul Murray. Radislav Vishrek not too far behind, and one of the cars definitely to watch. Knows how to run a racetrack alongside Alex North, who is a seasoned contender in the championships that we've had to date. Robert Homer, worried we weren't setting a time from the Porsche for a second, but pulled it out the bag to get into P25 overall with Arscombe, and then Nisbet going into 76 car and 331 car. Andy Trickett is going to be 28th, and then going into our next and sort of final set of cars, it's going to be Anil Thirtson. Ibrahim Diekman, also leader of the Bronze Championship. It's going to be Craig Morrison in the number 213 McLaren, Ero in the 992 Porsche, Johnny Bowden in the McLaren, the number 145, Stuart Holmes in a very bright BMW M4, John Gabbett in a very fiery, most representative of the temperature, McLaren 720S, another McLaren this time, and David Smith running solo this time. No father-son duo here. Fortunately, some technical issues plaguing the pairing. Dismukes and Tennant follow along with Johan Teteru, Michael Bull and Helge Olsen completing our order. Of course, those last two not setting a time in the session, so as mandatory and per the rules, starting from the back of the field. And with that, the stage is set. Formation lap, chance to everyone to get their tyres up to temperatures, and for watching out on your surroundings. I think we're going to see a lot of wheel-to-wheel combat in these first couple of laps. I think there's no way to shy from that. So the drivers are going to have to keep their eyes open, keep their wits about them, make sure that they don't put themselves in a position they can't win. Curva Grande side by side, sure, you can get some combat along there, but you have to play a very expensive carbon fiber layer Gaber chicken if you want to go for an attack into the second chicane. I think we're going to be looking out for hot spots into the first chicane, of course into the second, and then out into Ascari. Those braking zones are going to be ripe for overtaking opportunities. It's very rare to see something out of Lesmo 1, or even Lesmo 2, but it can happen. But no over-the-top heroics, and that will be just fine. Name of the game, keep the average speed up, keep the incidents low, and just get out of there in one piece. No dramas. It's about fighting, but knowing when to call it time. That's going to be the difference between your top drivers. And with that, everyone is now slowing down to the mandatory speed and getting themselves primed to go racing. The drivers have worked hard. They've trained for hours upon hours. But soon, it's all going to come to a head. And more than anything, I can't wait to see it. SIMseniors has proven to host season after season of brilliant racing, and tonight is going to be no different. Welcome back to the track, folks, after a week's hiatus. Welcome back to the broadcast. And the track is about to go hot for an hour of racing. And here we go. Track is hot, we're away, and immediately combat starts. Even fighting is going to be afoot as Hermé is going to waste no time. Right to the back of Nearguard. He's going to try and thread the needle. Door closed by Guillemot as they both tuck to the inside. There's going to be a lot of cars squabbling for position further back. And jump to the helicopter. Linatus is round. He's into the wall and he's taken out some of the bollards on the side. It's going to be a yellow flag. Immediately be called for the race area. There's Thurson. There's Missouri. They're going to be smashing through, leaving debris all over the track as he aggressively rejoins into P11. There's gonna be a mass of cars all flying forward. There's yellow flags everywhere as people are hitting pieces of the escape road and off the signage along the side of the track. Where do you even go? Why, it's all lit up with orange warning signs. My timing tower's lit up like a Christmas tree, but the fight is on, and oh no, that's Lindblom making contact, it looks like, with Nearguard. He's completely into the wall at Lesmo 2. He's going to recover as quick as he can, but that is a fatal issue for his race. He's all the way down into P24 and counting. Say, don't go too aggressive, careful. You can see Linatus having some major cosmetic damage. To what extent that's hit the aero, we don't know. I'd love to be a fly in the wall in the pit box for that team. But it looks like Linatus, coming off of that damage, is dropping like a stone. Peyton making no secret of his advantage as they head into Parabolica. But no! There's more chaos erupting as that is going to be multiple cars going off the side. There's Ostrachar, Serrano, Peyton, all out on the edge of Parabolica. For a second, I was worried a car was going to go airborne. That could have been very risky, but here's Reed getting himself up into 8th place amongst the pandemonium. A fighter has emerged. His name, Damien Reed, and he continues the charge. Many more racers now trying to make good on their initial starting position. Was trying to get out of the chaos that is that first lap, but it looks like there's not going to be any rest for some as Murray and Homer both are stuck on the infield. It looks like they're beached on a curb. Homer barely able to get out of there, and it is all the way down in last position as no, Wilson is completely spun out. I can't even keep up with this. There's just too much happening for us to be able to truly keep up. And this is all in the first 2 laps, folks. We're going to rewind the clocks. Got no choice now. We're going to have to try and recap as best as we can to continue to monitor the timing board. So onto the helicam. There's Ostrachars and Wilson fighting tooth and nail. They're going into Curva Grande. There's a little bit of a pinch, and I think Wilson's just leaving the door tiny bit too close there. We'll have to see what the stewards make of that one. But that looked a little dicey. It's tough to say whether Ostrachar's left the nose in too much or if Wilson was aggressively trying to close the door. Back to the front. Wilson is going to be down for the count, but Wolf Slenner is still on the charge. He's hot on the heels of a certain NSX driver, Lindblom, who's made the most of the chaos. He's got himself up into P2 from that P5 start. I think he's certainly prepared himself for a fight. He's playing to his strengths right now. He knows how to make up time in a field. And he knows how to navigate dirty air like it's going out of style. Here's Missouri on the outside of Isharek. Heading into the first chicane. Nearguard trying to pull the same on Serrano. But Serrano is going to have none of it. And double contact out of the exit of the chicane. Both of them coming together. Having to, like their drivers before them, take to the escape road and collect some debris on the way. Very bouncy debris at that. I think that's the bountiest triangle I've ever seen in sim racing. There are more shenanigans. Looks like some drivers have managed to find a little bit of space and a little bit of calm within the storm as our first 5 minutes have now elapsed and we are on to lap 3. 2 laps completed so far. But there's no signs of anyone slowing down. I think the big part here is everyone just trying to get some space, and that means going for a couple more fights here and there, so be it. Here goes Hellstrom on Diekman right now, getting the move into Ascari. Making no secret that there are different classes, as that's going to be Diekman hot off the side on the exit of the chicane. Making quite the excursion onto the escape road, onto the runoff. Looks like in an interesting turn of events, Hermé is going in extremely early. Either there's a problem with the car, or this is a strategic option to try and get himself out of the fighting. I think it's a little premature to go into the pits this soon. We'll see what comes of it. Marsh and Reed really going for the fight here. And Reed is currently up into P6. He's getting the moves done into that chicane. This is a real underdog story right now. Damien Reed, the driver that we have seen struggle race to race, to have luck, fate, never smile upon him, to now sitting in P6. Regardless of how he finishes, he's done an amazing job of starting this race weekend. Made quite the impression in qualifying and is continuing that momentum. Same goes for McNair. He's managed to get himself up all the way into P11 from a dismal qualifying. I think the wheel-to-wheel racing is where this driver shines. Combine that with Colin's aggressive driving style and you've got yourself quite a racer. Sweeping over a little bit further down the order. You see a now recovered Eero trying to get onto the back of Visharek once again. He wants to re-establish that fight. That challenge is staring him in the face. But North currently stands against him. It's the one car that stands in his way. So what will he do? Chaos erupting further back as 2 almost rewired through Ascari as Cutler, Dismukes all coming together through the section. Dismukes dropping to Larson, but Eyes currently firmly trained on Eero. He's trying to gauge where this Aston is going to go. He peeks left, right, once more. Hunting for opportunity. He's grinning and bearing it until such a time as he can go for the challenge. McNair also might be looking for something special here, but going into lap 5 now. This is Eero's time. Will he go for the challenge? He's sneaking out to the right side. Potentially an option. Not quite. Eero taking a more conservative approach. I think wanting to stay out of trouble, given the chaotic scenes we've seen so far. Stuart Holmes is going to be relinquishing position with no major challenge to the both of them. And maybe trying a bit more passive of a strategy in the hopes of preserving his race. So that's just going to remove buffers to Dismukes, Bowden, Smith, etc. He's removing his own defensive options. Visharek, meanwhile, he's moved on. He has now got a fight of his own, and his name is Craig Morrison. Much larger gap between themselves and the rest, so this effectively is the lead of the train. But nearly 10 minutes have elapsed. And so far, one thing's become clear after chaotic starts. A lot of drivers feeling a little bit defeated. Some drivers having to head into the pit lane. No choice. Niesbet, for example, alongside Hermé. That was, in fact, a drive-through penalty for Hermé. That's why he went so early into the pits. We have got it confirmed on the telemetry. So, a drive-through penalty for the number 169, which has demoted him all the way down to 29th. Affirmatively lowest in the group for himself. Still plenty of fight across the field, even if things have started to settle. David Smith along the side. Trickett here. Trickett going for the attack on the inner. Really locking in the position before the first chicane. That is textbook. You go to the inside, you get that slipstream to sling forward. And then get a superior exit to really hold the position true. How's things shaping up here? North is close. Suri currently ahead of him. But North is not going to take that one lying down. So far, an aggressive run. And there's going to be Thirdson just going off the side, out at Lesmo too. A struggle to be sure. He's not having the best of times. Bowden, how's Bowden doing? Hermes on his tail. Bowden could catch a ride here and actually make the most of the gold class driver that stands before. Hitch a ride, get himself up further, use the tailwind, almost a slipstream if you will. North is going to drop a few places here, as he's going to drop to Peyton, Larson and Cutler all in one fell swoop. I think he messed up the Ascari chicane. Dismiquez dropping to Hermé now. No secret that the gold class driver wants to recover and really make up for that lost time. Here comes Vishrek into the chicane, but ducks back. Has to play it safe. Didn't have the nose ahead at the time. Of course, racing rules. You do have to leave each other space, but you cannot be throwing yourselves into risky situations and just calling it. Bowden has had a major off. Let's actually rewind the clocks and see exactly what happened there. So, jumping to the helicopter. He's coming up to the back of Dismiquez right there. I think that's Trickett behind him. And then just completely outbrakes himself. Spins off into the infield. And that is him almost done, but manages to get some grip back up, get himself back onto the tarmac. And is under some serious pressure as Wilson is going to go for an attack on him. The Hermé now still continuing his charge forwards. Remember, he's recovering from a drive-through penalty. That is at least 35 to 40 seconds of time lost. You can see that Stuart Holmes almost going airborne there. The full nose lift and all. Barely stays out of the barriers before returning out of the gravel to the track. Scary stuff there. You can see just in the foreground, the nose lifting. That could have ended in disaster. Would have been nothing short of disastrous. Serrano getting past Dickman here. It's good to see the mutual respect between drivers. They know that they're in separate classes, so they're making a judgment call about whether it's actually worth the fight for each other. I mean, in the same light, though, there are a lot of cars in this pack who just want to race for the love of racing. And if they have an opponent, they are going to drive like their life depends on it. Vishrek, key example. He's got challengers either side, but he's not afraid to bare the teeth at the gold classes if they come running. Things have quietened down towards the front end of the field. We do have Lindblom currently in third place. It's up at a slight demotion on time, as it looks like there was an issue. Let's rewind the clocks and see exactly what happens to one of our leading drivers. So this is Lindblom here, currently under the chase from what looks like Wolfslenner. Both of them going into Parabolica. Wolfslenner to the inside. And just hunting for it. And all slight contact, a slide, and a double tap. As things get a little bit dicey between the two. Now into Ascari, Vishrek. Knocking on the door. Hoping for a bit of space. Cutler goes very wide. It's a quintet of cars with Peyton just clinging onto the rear. See all of them lining up teeing up their next move almost in perfect unison, making their way through Parabolica like a finely tuned chord on a guitar. So now, down, this is where the paths diverge. We have Cutler into the pit, the drag race, Vissuri and Visharek once again challenging each other. Round 2. Will it be second verse, same as the first, or will we see a bridge to this chorus? He goes for the inside, he stays firm to the apex. Visharek has command of the corner, but Vissuri is aiming for a counter-attack. He stays to the left, tries to get a better exit. They both go side by side into Curva Grande. Slightly more speed coming in from the Ferrari, but the Porsche's not done yet. There's also the Mustang, who's knocking on the door all the same. Larson, he's going to get past Eero. He's going to have the Porsche have no choice but to relinquish the spot. Visharek is going to be victorious, but now with Larson actually capitalizing on the fighting. He was teeing up any kind of move, any kind of chance. We can see him fighting as well. Linatus. Oh no, major tank slapper. The curbs are massively destabilizing that Audi. And you can see dips right back. Major incident between the two. Luckily, no larger consequences. Still a problem. See Damien Reed heading into the pits now. 17 minutes in. But let's see what the Lexus has up their sleeve, as the rest of the race is going to, of course, be a big question mark. So much has happened, and we're not even a third of the way through. To game on, Wolfsland and Leenblom. See, Reed is genuinely stopping in the pits, so doesn't look like it's a penalty. It looks like a genuine pit serve. Larson and Payton are going to join him in the pit lane, as others are going to consider their options. Here comes Tennant. And you can see, oh no, Paul Murray spins off into the grass just out ahead of Robert Homer. Will he be able to get out of the way in time? Yes, he does, but Murray, very risky position to be in. Smith is going to take a position off him as well before he recovers. Scary stuff. That could have been a major incident. He came back onto the track after skipping the chicane while spinning over. Got Holmberg as well, who stacked it out of Ascari. And then all of a sudden, chaos has erupted as Eero, you can see, he stopped on the track. He's having to have a major reconsideration of his strategy. Let's jump to the helicopter and see exactly what happened. Here's Eero chasing Visharek. Chases Visharek. Hermé in the back line. Visharek actually coming out very slow to Lesmo 1. Into Lesmo 2. Eero is there, but contact made and he spins. Contact between the two. Once again, as Stuart Holmes is going to slack into the inside wall. Before we know it, more cars are falling victim to the temple. Who will fall prey to the temple of speed next, I wonder? The early afternoon here at Monza. 20 minutes into the race. And a fact that has become abundantly clear is that no driver is safe. There is no true safety on this circuit. There is only survival. Leenblom managing to pull himself to within a second of Wolfsland now. Previously was around the 2-second mark, but is now reeled in. No doubt with some aggressive driving, but that could put his tyres in jeopardy. Some blue flags coming out as back markers are starting to commingle with the primary race order. But eyes on Leenblom as this session progresses, because he'll certainly be teeing up for a chance to go on the offensive again. Just checking in with Hermé, now P18. As he has got, I believe that's Diekman, breathing down his neck here. He's starting his catch-up, starting his resurgence. And it looks like that is going to be John Gabbett off the side of Lesmo too. He's going to get overtaken by Damien Reed, just there, who did take a genuine pit stop. So he's going to be one of the first set. Murray just coming out of the pit lane now. Turning to the field after that chicane incident. The Tricket is going to go alongside Thurston. This is going to be a battle for P3 here in the bronzes. The two Porsches come together side by side. It's going to be a smooth run there for Tricket. Well executed overtake through the first chicane, but can he hold it? That's going to be Thurston just really putting pressure down. Watch what he does here. See, briefly tucking out of the slipstream and through Curva Grande into the second chicane. Now tucks to the left, tries to get a bit of a better braking line, but not close enough to turn that into a challenge. Good exit though, as we go into Lesmo 1. He tucks around the outside. I think it's just all about give and take. It's all about the space you can find and challenge for. Teteru is off the track. We're trying to confirm exactly what happened there. Larson could be in the same predicament. And yes, it's off in Parabolica, no less. Let's see if we can get back on track. But here's a drag race of the ages. Ostrachaz and Finley. Finley has been seriously impressive. By far, one of the best drivers in today's session. Ostrachaz going very wide through Parabolica and really pressing a bit of an advantage as he keeps the speed up on the runoff. Looks like Tricket has had a major incident and it goes off in Ascari. So let's wind the clocks back a bit and see exactly what happened. Jumping on board the helicopter. You can see Thurston behind into Ascari. Going for the push burst top, fine. Second half, it goes on for a controlled slide, but loses it completely, and then forces one of the other cars to go off the side of the track, just in an evasive maneuver. The Tricket down now to P30, not going to be a happy bunny whatsoever. But Finley, what a showing. Really has been something to watch. See that bronze driver hang it with the top brass. Challenging for pole time against Silver even. So I think Monza is definitely his track. Either that or a spark has been ignited. And given their performance out last time in Imola, I wouldn't be surprised. They get the elbows, sometimes that brings them down. But also a formidable driver in their own right. Hermé with a brief off and almost throwing Iro, you can see just behind, throwing him for a loop. Wasn't sure whether to take left or right. Trying to predict where Hermé's going to go. Coming up to the half-hour mark here in Monza. Larson heads into the pits. Here's a more general question to anyone watching at home. Has anyone seen the new F1 movie? And if so, what did you think? Because I actually saw it yesterday evening. And I have my thoughts, but what did you think? If anyone's watched it in the audience. Tricket making his way out the pits. Now making for a chance to challenge once again. Hopefully getting a bit of undercut as Bisharek is going to be yielding, it looks like, to Morrison. Either that or a poor approach to the corner has left him reeling. Leoton could be in the same boat as North is in his crosshair. And despite being in different classes, it's not going to stop the challenge. Remember, he wants to catch up to Finley. And to do that, he's going to have a lot of work to do. Over 15 seconds. Stuart Holmes a lap down just in the foreground there. The blue flags will be shown as appropriate by the stewards. We see some brief contact happening between Morrison and Vischerek with the warnings. Too many of those and you're going to get in some trouble. Time to see, as we get into this crucial next phase of the race, who is going to be starting to calm down versus who's going to be amping up. It's going to be Hellstrom against Linatus here as the Mustang holds on to a single-digit position. Linatus on the recovery, given the chaos that they suffered earlier. Even the slightest bit of contact, it seems, or at least contact with one of the pieces of debris still adorning the track. He's laser focused on keeping that Audi at bay. And he's even going to get a little friendly bump, just a knock on the door. Reminder of who's watching in case he makes mistakes. It's very different lines through Lesmo 1. Both equaling out roughly now into Lesmo 2. The exit is everything, because a good exit can head you into an attack for Ascari. Doesn't look like he's setting the world on fire just yet, but Linatus is laying in wait. Curiously, one driver that's benefited a lot from some of the anarchy around them, Helge Olsen, and to that extent even more, Michael Bull. Remember, these two started right at the back of the grid. They did not set any time at all. They were yet unproven entities, and here they stand, having made up double-digit positions since the start. A testament to being consistent. You stay consistent, you keep smooth, and even if the world falls away around you, you will still have success. Here's Linatus sent to the pit, I think deciding enough is enough, and I'm expecting many more drivers to join them as we get to that half-an-hour crossover. Remember, optimizing your pit stops, you want to keep it towards the half-hour mark because you will, of course, have the best balance of curb weight, minimal amounts of fuel required to run your car, as well as a chance to get some fresh tyres and restore about a second and a half of pace. A couple of shuffles around the order. You can see drivers jumping up and down as multiple cars head into the pits. There's going to be Larson, Linatus, Tennant on this wave at the very least. But more definitely to follow. Let's check in with our leader. GMR, so far untouched, but Lindblom is on the horizon. Wolfslener has been overtaken and Lindblom is starting to pull away. It's going to be a very close fight, I think, by the end. Lindblom has this knack for being able to close in and gain time on his opponents. There's no way to skirt around it. It's just an impressive feat. A brief moment to check in. There's going to be Holmes getting the blue flag to get out of the way of the other cars, as there's going to be multiple racers. It's North, it's Hermé, it's Diekman, It's Thirdson, it's Missouri, it's Dismukes as well, soon to be. I think that's Arscombe as well. Although Arscombe is a lap down, and that's a genuine overtake between the two. In the background, multiple cars now heading towards the pits. Lindblom, Finley, Neergaard, Holmberg, Vischerek, all in. Lindblom going for the undercut on his title rival. A major strategic upset could be on the cards here if he plays this to perfection. And with the sharp and short pit stops that we are seeing from many racers in the field, this could be legendary. Neergaard, 6 seconds faster pit stop compared to his competition. So it's actually really closed in a good chunk of time. And Lindblom trying to get the heat back into those tyres. MR, race leader, now into the pits, but now the race is on. Will he be able to retain that spot? Björklund also going to be jumping in. McNair does the same in P5. Hellstrom. This is that pit window showing its colours. Going to be Serrano, Ostrachaz joining the two. So now, question is, as we train our eyes to Guillemot, will he stay ahead? Lindblom soon to come to the end of the lap. He's just making his way to Parabolica now, but there is going to be a close shave as multiple cars make their way down the start-finish straight. More going to head in north Vissuri. Here comes Guillemot though as he comes to the exit. There's going to be just a couple of cars that pass him. There's a couple of back markers as well. It's Arscombe, it's Holmes, but Lindblom nowhere to be seen. And Lindblom is in for another stop. Something has gone wrong for Lindblom. He's jumping into the pits again. And he's not the only one either. Hermé has also jumped into the pits again, but this time this is for his traditional stop. Remember, last time was his drive-through penalty. It still counts as a pit stop on the ticker though. Here's Wolfsledder going in now. We do see Chris Bourne staying out and taking the lead of the race. But the story of the evening has to be regarding David Lindblom. He's got another pit stop to his name, and it has not paid off for him. Hermé, of course, already hit that disadvantage with the drive-through at the start, but 2 pit stops under their belt now. The 2 NSXs here are not having a race weekend to remember. It'll be one to forget, at any rate. So Wolfsledder coming through, and soon to exit the pace. Soon to exit on pace. Question is, where will this land him relative to Guillemot? A quick pit stop here could undercut his rival. They were only about 4 to 5 seconds apart. So here comes Wolfsledder out on the exit. Will he be able to beat Thurston and Guillemot to the punch? They cross the start-finish line. He's going to come out just ahead, but will he get up to speed in time? It's not quite there, but it's close. This could be the start of a fight if he can bring this together. If Guillemot is going to get stuck behind Thurston, as we do see now, although it's going to be a disaster as he goes into the gravel at a turn 2. A new fight is ignited though. In the ashes of the NSX comes the Mustang, and the Wolfsledder is hot on the heels by a second to Guillemot. It's certainly going to be a fight to remember. I think if these two converge, we'll be seeing fireworks. Lindblom must be absolutely beside himself right now, and I don't know what's happened, truly, to coincide with such an event. But this is going to be, without a doubt, I think, unless he pulls something out of the bag in the dying moments of the race, I think this is going to be his worst race weekend to date. So certainly a question mark being placed over his championship drive. It's a sobering thought for the current defender, and this could be what tips the scales heading into the final three. Leonatus currently sits P13. Closing in on Holmberg best as he can. North in the pits. Diekman is coming out of the pit lane now, and he's just going to be pipping a small fight between Trickett and Smith. He's going to insert himself straight into the middle on the exit. He splices the two racers, and he's going to make it a three-way fight as there is Bodin going off into the escape road. Just too much. Not enough chance to break. See Diekman coming through very close. See side by side the both of them going into the second chicane. Smith yields as he goes a little bit too hot. And Diekman is up a position. Question is, where is Barry Finlay right now? Finlay is well up in P16. Dismukes is further, as well as Thurston, but remember, they have not stopped in the pit lane. Finlay is the furthest ahead who has. And it seems like the rest of his racers in the class are but a world away. It would take an act of a higher power to dethrone this Mustang now. Fisherette caught between a rock and a hard racer. Morrison on one end, Lindblom on the other. The NSX pushing, driving you forward with relentless force. Got to find a way past this McLaren fast. The near guard looks like he's had a potential issue, and oh no, he has spun coming out of Ascari, and he needs to get himself moving. Damien Reed having to sweep to the left in an evasive maneuver. He's dropping himself all the way down. There's going to be, in fact, the reason for Lindblom's two stops is he had a stop and go penalty. So that explains the two stops, and that is a race all but compromised. Into Ascari now under some severe pressure from, I believe, Johan Larsson. He just takes too much on the curb and kicks the entire rear axle, bouncing across the gravel, the runoff and the grass to eventually skate to a halt right on the racing line. Thurston finally heading into the pits. Dismukes still remaining out. Last driver on the track yet to take a pit stop, and he's certainly feeling it on the pace front. He's lapping 1 minute 54s in a sea of 148. His pace is ailing, his race is dropping, and before he knows it, he could be dropping positions too. Damien Reed on the back of him, going to be in P7, with a chance to surge even further. Goes to the inside, he knows the pace disadvantage that Roger currently faces. And he's going to take full advantage, capitalize on the situation ahead of you. Racing 101, folks. That's how you do it. Smooth but aggressive. Many drivers now chancing it with the few moves here and there, but otherwise taking it a little bit slower now. It's the final 20 minutes, which means that most drivers are going to be settling into their positions and calling it a day for a lot of their attacking. Michael Ball just ahead of Rich Arscombe, but he's having to yield with the blue flags. The likes of Larson all going to be sweeping their way through. There's Ball, there's Holmes, there's Wilson. It's almost back marker fights starting to brew. See Dismukes finally going into the pit, along with Neergaard going into the pits for a second time He's practically limping the car. You can see he's barely able to roll it into the pit box. Severely damaged his Mercedes over the course of that off-track excursion at Ascari. So Neergaard finally able to get his car parked up and able to do the necessary repairs to keep himself going. Oscom on the back of Bull, but getting displaced by, I believe that is Björklund in the orange Mustang. Michael Bull having to retreat again behind the blue flags. Got to respect those blue flags and get out of the way almost as soon as possible. You do have a small grace window. I believe official FIA rules state you have to get out of the way as soon as you see the blue flags, but no later than 3 blue flags being shown. Then you have to relinquish the position. Not to be outdone though, and rising from the chaos, it's going to be Colin McNair in the Nismo. Now, it was mentioned before that the Nismo is a less than stellar car around this race circuit, but Colin's still making it work. He currently stands on that 3rd row in terms of finishing position, and he doesn't show any signs of slowing down. In fact, he's slowly creeping in like a hunter dormant until it's time to pounce. I think he's dialed in that car to try and be a bit more consistent in the dirty air, and really has tuned his aero and his suspension to try and be as compliant as possible. Take the advantage fighting wheel to wheel and give it your absolute all against the other cars. That's how we're going to play this one, and that's how Colin currently stands tall with a major position gain since the start of the race. Take advantage of the chaos, of course, but he's still pushing hard. Björklund has not really got much places to run. And we know McNair is a driver that does not relent without a fight. It's going to take a lot from him to back down. So let's see what gusto you got in there. Taking a look at the bird's eye views, they both head into Ascari. A little bit of bumping on the sausage curb. Careful, don't overdo it, even if your car is compliant. Don't overdo it. You're going to compromise your exit. Your exit speeds are crucial here at Monza. We'll see some different approaches into Parabolica. Notice how Björklund goes a little bit sharper at the start in order to be able to power out sooner from the corner. I think that's McNair's crucial mistake and why he can't tee up anything into the start-finish straight. You saw that different approach really pay dividends, but it looks like Guillemot briefly flagging up on the incident warning, trying to see what exactly happened. Let's go to the instant replay, as that is Anil Thurdsen on his right. They can see there is Thurdsen tucking in. You see there's Trickett going there, and very delicate but still contact made. Trickett, Thurdsen all in that space, and unfortunately light tap on the rears. Guillemot was going aggressive. Yeah, I think Trickett just keeping the nose in there wasn't necessarily the smartest move. I think that did open him up to that contact. Awareness is key on both parties though. So let's see what the rest of the racers have in store. Lenatus on the back of Hellstrom, briefly getting held up by Bull, as Holberg is going to be sitting in the distance, sitting pretty a few seconds clear. Dickman onto the back of Helga Olsen as well. Be a close shave, I think, as multiple back markers are now getting entrenched in fights alongside the rest of the field ahead. A lot of blue flags being flown. I don't think I've really seen those blue flags be put away, since someone around the field is always embroiled in a space with a back marker. Olsen on the back of Diekman. Again, really good disaster recovery here. We have had to say goodbye to a few drivers, but that has opened up an opportunity for those that remain. 15 minutes on the clock remaining. And a few yellow flags later, we can see Guillemot is going to be the car to beat once again. The push and pull that these two championship protagonists have is simply mind-blowing. For context, ladies and gentlemen, these two cars, Lindblom and Guillemot, have 3 wins each. Guillemot took the opening round in Spa before Lindblom refound his fighting form and took 2 and 3, Barcelona and the Red Bull Ring, in quick succession. Guillemot was quick to swing back. He got Mount Panorama and Kyalami one after the other, and then Lindblom claiming Imola. So these two go into this session and into this race of the championship neck and neck. 2 points stand between them. That's it. Only 2 points, which I believe were earned on fastest lap basis anyway. But this is going to be the major axe strike in the performance of Lindblom's championship in his career so far. That P17 is not doing him any favours. And that, by all counts, could cost him some major chances of points here in the championship. Remember, you do have the fastest qualifying and fastest race laps. There is still a chance that Lindblom will come out of this okay. We do have 2 drop rounds as part of this championship. So there's a chance that he could still come out of this okay. But it's still a blemish. And a blemish that is going to certainly hit the ego, even if it doesn't hit the standings. Oh, we can see Vishrek actually going for the attack. There's Craig Morrison at McLaren. These two have been very close for a little while now, but I think it's time they tied the knot. And they decided who was going to come out ahead of the other. As Morrison actually gets a really good exit, really good power down. Ferrari v McLaren. So side by side, it's going to be peaking to the arrow, but having to return to the racing line. I think he squeezed him a little bit too hard there, as Morrison taking a suboptimal line, but remains on the defensive. Very good defense coming in, but the number 2 car, that is Stuart Holmes. He's parked it on the racing line and barely gets out of the way of Peyton, as John Gabbett almost made heavy contact. They're trying to grip back up, get up to racing speed. As you can see, multiple racers trying to dodge him. Trying to re-emerge onto the track. I think just a classic running out of grip situation here. Then McNair trying to catch up to Björklund, but as soon as he gets close, he seems to be fumbling it. He'll get within a couple of tenths of a second, and then before he knows it, he's back down to a larger gap. Don't really know what's happening with the Nismo, whether he's just not able to commit the move, but either way, he's struggling. It could be a saving grace in the form of Helge Olsen, but the two make quick work around him. Blue flags, of course, being respected. Minimal obstruction to the point where he indicated. Good sports as always. There goes Vishrek, though. Teeing up for Parabolica. No move. No dice. Morrison's quick to block. Now, luckily, we don't have the horrible sausage curbs on the very outside of Parabolica that have a reputation for launching cars into the air. We can see Vasuri go for the attack, but Vishrek goes for a switch up. He sweeps left to right. He's going to go for the immediate counter and tuck the nose in. But no, he can't keep it alongside. We're seeing a pattern here for him. Vischerek just doesn't have the top-end attack power. He just doesn't have it. So he's conceding moves quite substantially at that. See Reed making his way past one of the back markers. As there is Wilson fighting a little bit further down. Hickman getting demoted. McNair goes very wide throughout the exit of Parabolica. I think just trying to carry a bit more speed in the hopes of a sweep back. In the hopes of being able to switch it back and sweep through. But still half a second away. He's not able to keep that proximity. Try as he might. The proximity just isn't there. It's not holding. Not able to hold his nerve. Or at least not being able to hold the speed long enough to confirm a move. 10 minutes remain. Things are looking great for some and dire for others. Lindblom up into P16, so still more recovery, but too much punch for Judy. Björklund is going to aggressively hold on to the position. Contact between the two. Despite going deep, he holds that position. I'll let you argue as to what side of the fence that is legally. It goes a bit too deep. McNair tries to challenge for it. And gets stonewalled. Those are your last chances for many drivers to be able to get any attacks down, to get some moves done. Otherwise, it's just about confirming points and bringing it home. Hermé, on the back of Peyton, still wants to make something of this race despite the double pit stop that they've had to endure. Goes down the inside and managing to get a really good run into Ascari. He made that one almost look effortless. So now it's the last laps. 28 laps completed on lap 29 now for our leader. GMR holds strong, as in bronze it's Finley ahead of any other silver class driver. Iro is actually the one who is currently standing on top honours for the silver division. Craig Morrison a couple of seconds back, and Vischerek putting some serious pressure down on the McLaren driver. It's looking like these two were going to keep each other preoccupied for a significant chunk of the race. They might take this one home. And it looks like Vischerek is really pulling out all the stops. Major swings. Morrison's having none of it. He stays true to his line. Makes no deviation. We're going to see Arscombe heading into the pits and is going to be staying in the pits to what looks like a retirement. So with that and other retirements we've seen throughout the session, which will get recapped in due course, 37 cars out of 41 starters to complete this race. So going to be a bit of a question for many now, as it will be just a case of finding out exactly who is going to be fighting and who is going to be walking away and just staying the course to the finish. It's always a toss-up with these races, because you can argue either way. There is no particularly right answer, but there is more right than the others. More right for your situation. More effective to get you points. I would not be surprised if a couple of drivers just want to actually take the foot off the pedal and slow down, counterintuitive as it may be, to prioritize a safe finish. I mean, look at the likes of Cyrano. He's chasing onto Hailstrom, but Hermé is quite a ways away. Now, Hermé is a formidable driver. They can make up time, but can they make up 12 seconds of time in 5 minutes? I don't necessarily think so. I don't really think that that's going to be a viability. So it might be worth him taking the foot off the pedal a bit. And having the restraint to prioritize that safer finish. Smith is going to be challenging on Wilson, though. He's not going to be stopped. Despite being a solo artist this weekend, still bringing everything he's got to the table. Marsh as well could be challenging on Damien Reed. Reed with a 7th finish. Very impressed with that Lexus driver this weekend. I know we said it before, but it bears repeating after such a difficult spell of races in the prior rounds of the season. It really is heartwarming to see a positive turnaround. Say with an average finishing position in the double digits. It's not been easy. It's not been easy whatsoever. But you just keep on trucking. You just keep moving forward. And before you know it, the time will come. As this is on track to be his best result. Even if he gets overtaken here. Trickett, Dismaquez both going for a little bit of squabble. David Smith, unfortunately, going off the side of the track. Len Nartus is coming in hot as well in P10. Again, while starting that third to last lap, I do believe. I think we'll have 33 laps completed and 34 to finish. Yeah, we will see those last minute surges. If you want to make a move, your time is now. So Marsh, if you're teeing it up, time to go for it. And time to really work to close that gap. Everyone else, they're all spaced. They've all got their own room and they're all just finishing the race. Marsh is the last car standing within a second to another driver. Let's see if he can really start to push it here. You see the Lexus hanging on through Curva Grande. Marsh is going to be hot on the heels in the NSX, closing right in through the second chicane. Just working hard to close that gap now. Into Lesmo 1, little bit of a narrower line. Trying to get on it, but good defensive driving from Reed. Sticks to his line, but also placing his car to deny a faster exit. But now heading into Ascari, this is where things could get interesting. Marsh within 2/10. Reed on the inside, closes the door, stays in front of him. Well-timed move. The leader is confirmed on the final lap, ladies and gentlemen. So we will finish with 33 laps completed as we are in the final 60 seconds of the race. This fight could be one that really sets the tone Heading into the final stage of the championship, Vishrek as well is going to really challenge and go aggressive. That's going to be Morrison off into the gravel, out through the first chicane, exiting Curva Grande, and that is time. The two of them have finally settled, and it's going to be Vishrek who takes the top. Marsh is going to go hyper aggressive. It's going to be narrow for Reed. He holds the apex. Contact made between them. Slight wobble from the NSX, but holds it together. Great fight between these two. You can see Marsh practically darting across the track width. Beautiful. Beautiful racing. Tennant, unfortunately, going off the side of the track, I do believe. There is a yellow flag being called. But there you go. That is time. Trickett just going across the infield. You can see Marsh going again really far in his pursuit of position here, but one driver has currently stood above it and stood tall. He makes his way down and behind in the wake of Thirdson here, but Friedrich Guillemard, what a performance. Didn't put a foot wrong, has once again proven himself to be one of the championship protagonists this season, and even with a wobble at a Parabolica, that's not going to hold him back from a miraculous finish. Coming to the line, celebrating, is well deserved as he wins and takes round 7 by storm here at Monza. Beautiful racing. Wolfslander with a close second, and Chris Bourne in third for the gold racers. And then we train our eyes to some of the others across the track. Holmberg, who's managed to dice himself in with this fight as Damien Reed is fully clean and away. He gets himself into P7 finish as McNair's up in 6th, Björklund in 5th, Johan Larsson in 4th, Marsh in 8th, Holmberg 9th, P10 for Linatus as well. Looking to some of the rest of the field as well. More of them crossing the line. Here is, for example, Eero making his way down into Ascari. A quiet winner out of silver here. Really great racing. Finley surely is going to be getting promoted next season. I mean, this pace alone, been such a strong performance. I mean, even more outstanding than some of the gold runners, I'd say, relatively so. So Cutler's going to come across the line behind, and then the rest of the field is going to be following suit. Vasuri comes across to win the silver class in a beautiful fashion. You've got Thirdson, who is second place for bronze. You have Vishrek and Morrison, who are going to be second and third for silver. And then third place for bronze. It's going to be in a twist of events. Despite such a late pit stop, it is Dismukes. But last cars on the track, last cars are going to be making their way through. Although I do believe that everyone has finished up. And there we go, folks. So that is going to be calling it time. And with that, many drivers who didn't get to say to the end. So we saw 35 finishers. We did have to say goodbye to Frank Tennant running out of fuel, as you can see on the screen. You can see Teteru, Nisbet, Arscombe, Neergaard, Ostrachaz, Larson and Smith. But many drivers not being able to bring it home. But other than that, it was an amazing race. And I certainly loved every moment of it. But thank you everyone for watching. Of course, you can catch us same time next week as we are going to be heading to none other than Donington Park as a beautiful racing location. I, for one, absolutely do love it. And I think that you certainly will too. Be sure to join us next time as that's where we're going to be headed. It's a unique track on the calendar. It's not always the most viewed and the most appreciated, but certainly is going to be one that I think produces some solid racing moments. We'll catch you when we get there though, of course, folks. For now, we say goodbye. Thank you as always for watching. Join us next week. Like the stream if you haven't already, and consider subscribing if you like what we do here. Enough of that though. We will see you next time for round 8 and the climactic races of the championship. Goodbye everyone. enjoy your evening, and we'll see you very soon.
Three, two, one, go!